it from irritating your eye. Here's another black. You can look at the skin and tell. Now his eye is protruded. Look at how they got his eye practically sticking out. But look at the worm. I mean, I think that they got the worm out and set it on top just to show you that they got the worm out. But I'd be like, don't put that thing on my eye. Get that thing off of me and away from me. But the person is probably sedated or, sleep. I mean, under sedation or anesthesia. So, but I would not want that thing on me. I would be like, don't do that. That thing away from me. Now, this is an eyelid. Now, let's go back because I didn't get to see. I know that's a human eyelid. I'm trying to figure out, and there's definitely a problem with the eye. This is possibly Caucasian. You can tell by the skin texture back here. But look at all the blood vessels in the eye, and that looks like that might be cataract or glaucoma or some type of development on the eye itself that is causing possibly a covering over the eye that will cause them to eventually become blind, possibly. But it makes me wonder if these may be some worms over in the corner, but I can't really tell. But yeah, they definitely have damage to their eyes. I mean, you can look at all these blood vessels and see that the eye is strained. The eye is going through some hardship. And a lot of times we tend to rub our eyes so much because they're irritating us. And here's another worm, but that is in an animal, some type of animal. I don't know exactly what, if it's a dog. I guess it may be a dog or something, but that's not a human animal. I mean human. And this I believe is somewhat, yeah, that's somebody's eye, because you can see the eyelashes down here, and they are blind with some type of growth all up in their eyes. I cannot imagine that they could have gone so long unless they're in an impoverished area of the country where their medical facilities are such at a limit that you have to try and stay as healthy as you can, but here you have worms even forming in the tongue, the shape of a worm in the tongue. I didn't know that you could have worms in your tongue, but you learn something every day. I still can't figure out exactly. They're trying to show here something in his mouth, and I'm still trying to find it. I'm not even sure if the growth is right here, a little something in his inner lining of his jaw, or if that strand is an issue. I have no idea what this is. So he may, or that either. So, but his gums have some damage up here, the yellowing of his gums. So, you just don't know what you could end up suffering as a result of fooling with uncooked, undercooked meat. I mean, how else do you think these parasites got into these people? It had to be somehow transmitted within these people because it's just beneath the skin, and probably travel through their bloodline to go into various different areas of their body or their eggs. And once they hatch, now this here is a picture of a lone worm. I don't know exactly what type of worm. Let's see if it tells us what type of worm. Okay, it does not. But this, you can see how the foot is swollen. You can see the swelling of the foot as a result of this worm. And who's to say that how many worms? But anyways, the worm seems healthy is right there, but as it pulls out and it comes down here, it looks as if that just died. But the healthiest part is here. Why? Because he's still feeding off of this individual. And look at how swollen the foot is. You don't know how many and then as you can see here, there's another hole where worm was taken out, and there's another hole where the worm was taken out. So you don't know how many worms has even invaded his body or her body. So you got to understand, it may not be just one worm. It may be numerous worms. This is a very unfortunate photo because these are people who passed. Okay, this person that passed, out of their something came all these worms after they passed, probably, or they could be alive, I don't know. But this poor young boy, he is clearly deceased. And look at what's coming out of his nose and what's coming out of his mouth now that his body organs are no longer allowed for them to be feeding on, because there's no more blood flow. You can't get blood flow if the blood is no longer flowing. I mean, if they're draining his blood, then there's no more blood to drain, and now they're exiting his body. And that is so unfortunate to see that a child did not even make it to adulthood because he lacked the medical attention he needed. That is such an unfortunate, all these things are very unfortunate. So understand that these things are no joke. I mean, they get under your skin and they wreak havoc. They wreak havoc. They are in it to win it. They're in it to live as long as they possibly can. It's a worm coming out the side of his head. Look at that. Out of the side of his head it's coming, So if you have to follow the crowd, then expect that you are gonna fall with the crowd, because things that are out there, there are things that are out there that you have to be aware of, and understand that it's not even just necessarily in the food. It could even be in the water. I mean, it could be whatever goes into your body. You have to just do your best to try and keep your body from swallowing things that could be infected. But one sure way to help combat that is to cook your meats. Thoroughly cook the food. Your food, thoroughly cook it. Okay, cook your food. More situations. Now, how would you like to look like this? So, just cook your foods, and you won't have to be in these type of situations. I'm not sure if this is a human or what. Let me see. I'm not sure if that's that could be. It could be that they just have their eyeball protruding. I'm not really sure. But there's the worm up there. And see how these blood vessels are strained as a result of things being foreign objects, ridiculing people's bodies. And then it also looks like they have cataract. You see that covering over their eye? Now, it could also be that they put a shield over their eye for protection. But let me see if I missed a page, because this thing is act like it's wanting to skip on me. Okay. And so this is what you could end up suffering just as a result. And look at the big hole. The big just hole in it. That's like, what do you call those big holes? I can't even think of it. Anyway, here's another worm, and they got it magnified, of course, because you know these worms are real small. And look at the blood vessel. Look at all the stress it causes in the interior of the lining of the wall. Look at how the blood vessels are so blood red and protruded and enlarged, you know. Now this is something in the gut, and this is something on a person's knee, and that's something all over a person's body. My goodness, they must have been eating sushi or some type of I mean, because they have worms all riddled within them. Wow. I mean, wow. So whenever you decide to continue eating raw meat, uncooked meats, expect that this could be you. Especially if you get an infected meat. If you get meat that's infected, you have a problem. What was that, mad cow disease? And people were dying. So understand, infected meat will affect you. This is a person that's riddled with, I believe it was sushi. They ate sushi for years, and they're just riddled with parasites all throughout their chest, just riddled with it. And you got to understand that that's just the upper part of their body. That's not even showing the whole body. That's just showing that a part of an x-ray of their body. And that's not even the whole body. And here's the lower part. I don't know if it's of the same person, but as you can see, there's parasites everywhere. You know, I mean, just parasites all throughout them. These parasites lay eggs. Some of them might have started as an egg, and then it depends on how they mate. If they're atypical or whatever that is, where they can procreate within themselves, then now you got a problem, because they don't need a mate to lay eggs. So that's what I had meant to show you. And I do apologize because I just jumped right from that into the next, and I set these folders up to go within a row so that they would fall in place. And so after the non-edible meats, I jumped right over somehow, I think, into the edible. Okay. I'm just trying to, oh, I went into the pig folder. So when I came out of the pig folder, I thought I was done. Okay. Oh, wait, no, that couldn't have been. Because once I came out of the blood and the fat, and then okay. And then I did not go into this folder. And that's where I should have went into it, because it's vitally important. And hopefully this will save lives in the future if you can just make wise decisions. Okay, now we're going to jump back on track, because did we just wrap this up? Okay, we wrapped that up about how a little drop can turn into an uncontrollable, raging flood. And that is what happened when they allowed a little drop to go unchecked. Now you got this situation where God is looking down, and now he's plaguing the nations because of the sin that's in the nations. Okay, they may think they're having fun, but it won't be no joke when God's plagues hit home, because this here is clearly an abomination. Cross-dressing, clearly an abomination, you know. So understand that these things are against God. And this is another thing where we have been in error. Multiracial families. Now, before I even go into this, let me read scripture. And when I say multi-family, understand I'm not meaning a black and white thing. This is a tribal thing, and I'm going to show you what I mean by that. But first, before I do that, I need to read you something. Okay, I'm just going to start with 10. And this is also something that is going to have to be corrected. Okay? Because of how God set things up. And you have to understand that tribes over in Africa, they didn't intermingle with tribes, because then you would not have tribes. You would just have a whole different people, a lot of people in Africa marrying. But they have tribes there. They have tribes that are okay, like let's say for instance, okay, okay, I'm gonna come back to Ezra. I just want to show you something real quick.